Hey gang, the Grape Ape's back in the shop to fix some issues that developed last season. So last season was a great year. Unfortunately, it's not looking nearly as good this year, but last season was great, and we put on a lot of miles. And the Ape here got a lot of miles put on it, and it's never without its toll. So the main issue I'm going to fix today, or at least I hope I'm going to fix, is near the end of the season when we were up riding with Doc up in central Minnesota, the sled developed a bog after it would hit a bump. And I'm sure some of you noticed that on the videos. It would bog or it would cut out. What the heck's happening, Nutter? Well, I haven't looked into it yet, but I've slept on it about 200 times. And here's my ideas on what it could be. So, first thing I think it might be, but maybe, all this is a big maybe, is maybe there's a wiring problem. Maybe there's a plug that's almost unplugged. Maybe a wire has rubbed somewhere and it's starting to short out. Something like that. I'm sure the harness didn't rub on the jack shaft. I have had that happen in the past, and I always zip tie them up really good. So I'm sure that's not what happened. Clean the carbs. All right. So the next thing is a fuel issue. Now, if you go back to the video where I raced in the Wild Bill, that little Scorpion was doing the exact same thing. Every time I'd hit a bump, it would cut out. And it turned out to be a fuel issue where the line was actually rotten and sucking air. Well, we know the lines were all new on this last year, but still, we're going to check through it. But there's one more aspect of a fuel issue that I thought of literally this morning, laying in bed, getting ready to come out here and work on this thing. And that's a possibility of some water in the fuel. So, you know, these carbs have the big long drain hoses at the bottom to collect water. Well, you shake it up enough, maybe you get some of that water up, shooting up into the float bowl, right into the main jet, and that'd bog you out. So we're going to take a good look at that. I hope I don't find that because that means I got to take the whole fuel system down and clean it all. And this is a one-piece seat and tank. That's no fun. I don't know how else you get the water out, though, if there's water in the tank. So we're going to take a good look, try to figure that out. We'll look around under the hood. Maybe throw the carbs in the ultrasonic quick, check for any other issues, make sure, you know, the chain case is full and all that. Oh, yeah, one more idea I had was this is really rare. This is way out there. Maybe there's a baffle broke loose in the exhaust. So I will pull off the can and give it a shake, and if I hear any noise, maybe that's it. That's a wild card. So, anyways, like I was saying, it's basically yearly maintenance time right now. So I can get this thing ready just in case we get any snow this year. I almost forgot to mention the steering. I don't know how, but the steering got really stiff over the summer. So we're going to have to take care of that today. And then I opened the hood just now, and oh boy. I hope this isn't as bad as I think, but that looks like some light mouse evidence in there. I don't know where that foam came from. The inside foam looks intact. But at a minimum, I'm going to have to pull that airbox apart. Hopefully I don't find anything real bad in there. I hate mice. I really, really hate mice. But I don't see any mouse evidence in the carbs. We'll pop that airbox apart real quick, and we'll get out the shop vac, clean that up. All right, well, if you've never taken an airbox apart on one of these 90s Polarises, it's not really a big deal. You just got a bunch of clips you pop off with the screwdriver. And as you can see, I don't even have all the clips on this one. I'll probably replace them. I have got some more clips now. There we go. We'll get that picked up off the floor. Oh boy, I'm missing a lot of clips. But they've started making these again. I know you can get them from your Polaris dealer again. For a while you couldn't. So might as well put all the clips back since I have some now. Alright, so once you get all your clips off, are they all off? Yep. Oh, no, one more. painted real good black right in this area where it's hard to see. All right. There we go. Oh, one more. A couple of these are really painted well. Easier to see when they're rusty. There we go. Into the air box. What do we got? Shit. We got mouse all the way into the air box. Well, at least I found it now. I don't even know how those things would have got in there. It's just crazy. Let's look at the foam. Oh, there we go. So, gonna need to get a new foam. Shitski. Alright. That's life. At least I found it now before the season started. Alright, I want to give you a close-up on the fuel line here. Hopefully you can see. There's something in there. Whatever it is, it's jiggling around. Doesn't look like water. It looks like solid particles. So, it's definitely solid stuff. It's after the pump, which is after the filter. It tells me it probably came out of the pump. So we're going in at least as far as the pump for cleaning today. All right. I'm going to carefully bring these carbs over one at a time and check them for water. So whatever gas is in there, I'm dumping to the bottom of this. And if there's any water, well, we should be able to see it. Let's pull out this drain plug too. I'd say the water theory was not true. That is some gross looking gas though, and there's a bunch of crap floating in there that I'm pretty sure just came out of the float bowls. So, guess we'll rip into those next. Carb number 2, equally clean. Carb number 3, just a little grosser on the outside. This must have been, yes, the PTO carb. A little belt dust there. Don't matter, we'll be cleaning all of it up. Not really much in there at all. Nothing I can wipe off with my fingers. Still going to clean them, send them through the ultrasonic because what the heck, they're out. Let's see. Float height looks good. Float height looks good. And float height looks a little bit off on this one. Yeah, this one, the float's a little low. So we'll tweak that just slightly, but it's not horrible. There's definitely ethanol in there. You see how the brass is turning kind of green on there? That's generally a pretty good sign of ethanol. All right, well, with the carbs out of the way, we can look at the steering. And it's the steering stem for sure. If I turn it to where it gets stuck, you can see I'm flexing at the handlebars and nothing's turning at the bottom. Right there in the middle, that's what it looks like when it's free. So I'm going to shoot some lube in there. Bumper full of grease. I do see a grease zerk in there hiding behind that oil filter. And we'll hope for the best. Just going to clean the carbs, right, guys? So I went into this thinking I'll fix that bog and it'll be a carb issue, or maybe I'll find some minor electrical problem. Well, unrelated to the bog, the steering's still super stiff. I mean, look, I'm leaning on it, and I got a little motorcycle jack under the front end, so there's no shouldn't be any friction. It should just flop over. And of course, the grease zerk popped off when I tried to grease it, which really is a pretty bad sign because it's just a drive type zerk, not a threaded in one, and I think the hydraulic pressure just pushed it out. So I don't know. I got to go into it further. I hate this. The steering stem can be a big pain in the butt. So there's the 4 bolts that hold it to the bulkhead, and if like a Tinnerman nut's missing or broke and one of those bolts fall through, I may be pulling the track to, get the steering stem back on. But the good news is, with the carbs off, I can reach the bolt to the drag link pretty easily. So I'm just going to start unbolting it and let the chips fall where they may. I can't ride it like this. Man, I'd have arms bigger than Popeye if I rode it like that for a season. Okay, so as you can see, I think you can see, I do have the socket on the nut on the top. So all I got to do is somehow get a wrench around the back to back that up, which will probably block your view, but you'll know I actually did it. Oh, I dropped the wrench. You'll know I did it because the nut will come off. There we go. So, step number one of pulling my steering stem. So, the next thing I got to do is probably take the handlebars loose in this area and cut a couple zip ties, set that aside, and then I've got these 4 bolts here, and I'll have the thing out, and we'll see if I can save it. And I really, really hope I can save it, because I just walked through the scrapyard, and there's not a good one to be found out there. Well, I got it out, and of course, all the bolts but one fell through, and, well, what the hell. Might as well make them all fall through, because whatever I got to do to fix that, I got to do it to all 4. But look, Dennis is here. I'd like to say he's a good luck charm, but he came through just in time to see all those bolts fall out.
I got to hear this cuss words.
Yeah, there were a couple. So over here on the steering stem, I got it clamped in the vise, and I should be able to turn this with one hand, and it's just locked. I'm tugging on it with this big wrench. It's pretty tight. Guys, there's nothing to show you. I'm going to juice it with lube, get what I can in, work it back and forth, heat it up with the torch, do what I got to do until either I give up and get a different one or it's fixed. So, not a lot to show in the video. This part just sucks. I got my work cut out for me. Look at that stuff ooze out as I turn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like rust. This is going to be less than fun. A lot less than fun. A miracle happened. So here's what we did. We started off, we had to heat it up pretty good. And I don't mean just like this. I mean, we heated it up for 3-4 minutes and we had a giant wrench on it. Oh, geez. We had this guy on just to get it to turn. But it started to turn. Pretty soon we can make a whole rev. Then I took the air hose and I blew out through the grease zerk hole. Look at it now. So show them what we did there, Dennis. I mean, you can't see the drama anymore. The rust is all gone, but
you can see the rust.
Oh, you could see it running down.
Here was just pouring out of this hole as he would turn that.
But show them how we did that. Stick the hose in there.
Yep.
And then what we did is we used that to pump lube all the way to the end. Well, I spun it. Look at that. What I want you to see here is this is one finger. Hell, I'll take the vice grip off. There's nothing anymore. So we got it. We got it. We rescued this one. Now I just got to get the grease zerk back in and get it greased. And then into the sled. That's the bad part.
Yeah. So what are you doing here, John?
Just cleaning the carbs. I'm not taking out the chain case so that I can get the 4-driver drive shaft off so I can put those bolts back in.
Which bolts?
You know.
Oh. All right, well, this is where he's at.
We're just cleaning the carbs. All right, since we're doing all our yearly maintenance for one fun project, I'm going to say it was time to change the lube. That lube went in blue. It's kind of green now. And there's a certain amount of chain case sludge, like you always get from a reverse chain case. You know, things look pretty good in there. Not bad. We'll just keep going. Just cleaning the carbs and, you know, routine maintenance, checking my chain case bearings. You know, normal stuff.
Let's get that shaft out of here.
Yeah. Let's get the track out of the way and get the steering back in.
Oh, it's a 4-lugger.
That's why we pulled the chain case.
I know.
We knew that. Oh, I gotta crack loose the set screw still. Dang it. Always something. Alright, here's one of my jack shaft. Well, this is actually the drive shaft bearing from last year. She's mint! She's still full of grease. Remember, it's got the little hole in the groove here, and I packed it full of grease like I always do. And the 1 year check-in, I don't know however many miles we did, 1,000 maybe, on this sled, because I rode a bunch of different sleds. Well, anyways, the 1 year check-in's really good. This is going right back in, and I'm not even going to add any more grease. She's mint. So here's my plan. I don't have any 5/16 Tennermans, and I don't ever want to do this again. So I'm going to use this thin piece of aluminum to hold the bolts in. They're carriage bolts. This will be inside the tunnel, pop riveted, outside of the footprint of the steering stem. So we'll show you when we're done. So there we are. We just riveted in place. This rivet gun works awesome. You don't need anything more than this. These things are awesome. And yep, those bolts won't ever fall out again unless by some crazy chance the track catches and tears that off. I don't think they're ever going to fall out again.
No, and they're loose enough they'll move around.
Yeah, I think I saved us a lot of work in the future.
Yes.
Now we'll shoot this.
All right, Nutter, it's like an hour later. What's going on?
Well, the usual chain case stuff, you know.
Is the carb cleaned yet?
I had this bolt in already, but then I didn't have the spacer behind the top gear.
Okay.
And I went
but,
right in.
But the main thing is, it's
Oh,
all...
there it goes. See how easy that bolt goes in?
Yeah.
All you got to do is do a power tool.
And it's all going together. We're going together. She'll be back on the trail in no time.
Well, whenever there's snow.
Yeah.
So, as happens sometimes in these chain cases, these holes strip. You see I already got a stud in the other one. I got my 1/4 20 helicoil set there. This is the drill from the set. And just don't drill through the bottom to prevent any leaks. Gotta go a little further. She's super grabby because it's damn near at the right size. All right, believe I hit the bottom there. Yep, just touched it. So I'm going to go blow that out and I'll be right back. All right, so we got plenty of depth in there for a helicoil without even drilling any deeper. So this is the answer. This tap, of course, came from the helicoil set. Just run her in. It's aluminum. That's pretty easy. All right, that feels like the bottom. All right, I'm going to go blow the chips out and I'll be back again. All right, next step, you got your little installer doohickey here, and you just put your helicoil on it. Boy, I bet there's a million videos about this out there on the old YouTubes, and you just thread it into the hole. All right, just deep enough. She's just below the hole. Then you got a little tab on these inserts that you're probably familiar with because you've probably done these. And you got to break that little tab off. Pretty sure it came out. Yep, it's out. So that's it. The hole in my reverse chain case is fixed. One more thing on today's journey of just cleaning the carbs. All right, time to get the steering back in. So one thing on these XLTs I want to point out, there's this aluminum plate that's like a thrust plate in here, and it only goes one way. So if you put it this way, it's jammed into the firewall. That's no good. So make sure you spin that the right way. Otherwise, it just goes in. Keep your piece at the top, up above the firewall, so to speak. Angle everything right. Hope for the best. Pretty sure I'm not going to knock those bolts back through with that nice piece back there, but I'm going to have to wiggle it on. There we go. And shoot, that piece I just told you to watch for already spun on me. There we go. Now everything's good. All the bolts lined up. All I got to do is get them started and torque them down. Life is good. Oh. Wait a second. Before I tighten those, I've got to get that back up top, because that does live up there. All right. I'll bring you back once I get everything tight. Figured I'd show you one last time before I hook up the drag link. Yep, that's fixed. More than half the day is gone, but I'm back to where I started at least. Well, I'm back to the fuel system at least. How about that? I still got the jack under the front end, so the skis really aren't touching the ground, but, you know, I'm going to say I got that sticky steering fixed. Back to the fuel system, I guess. Just going to clean the carbs. All right, Details found this when he was here earlier. Oh, boy. That ain't good. Just fine sediment. Look at it run down there. That right there could be the whole problem. You know, that could hit a bump and puff up and lock up the filter. I don't know. It's a possibility anyways. Certainly has something to do with whatever's in the line. Although that is a Wix filter. So you can see it says Wix. So I don't think anything got by the filter. Oh, there's a bunch of more stuff right there. I suppose it just came back out of the filter. So I'm going to change all these lines at a minimum. Maybe look at the pickup in the tank too. All right, it's more than changing the lines. There's crap right there coming right out of the tank. So this has turned into take the seat off and clean out the tank. Great. Here's that first line coming out of the tank. Look at all that crap in there. I'm going to dump it in the Ziploc and we can get a better look at it. I think the Ziploc answers the question. There's a lot of dirt and a little water in there. Tank's got to come off for sure. Water was the problem last year. How did I get that much water in there? All right, I'm not sure what's really going on with this situation here, but I siphoned it out, like you can see. I just left the pickup in the tank and just did a little gravity siphon, and what's in the bucket's pretty clean. And there's no water in it, so that's good. There's no phase separation. If there was water, you'd see it on the bottom, and it kind of looked like bubbles. So inside the tank is a ton of silt and stuff. I think it came from the old gas gauge before I owned the sled. That's usually what happens when there's rust in a plastic tank. So I'm going to let that tank dry out until it's bone dry, and I'm going to attempt to vacuum or blow that silt out of there somehow. I don't know how else to get it out. There's like a lot of catches when you dump it out that it seems to catch on. It's pretty hard to get it clean that way. So that's my basic plan, and so it'll take a few days now before I make any more progress. Here's my setup for filtering that used gas. Really? All you need is a fuel filter and some line. It'll be more than clean enough for my skid steer. Did I mention I hate mice? Little bastards. Everywhere I look, I'm finding more of it. All right, well, here's my tools of the trade. I'm sure you can imagine how the air hose is used and how the rag on a piece of welding wire is used. Fairly bright LED flashlight in there, and I got the bore scope, and so I can look around and see if there's anything in there, and just shiny plastic is all I'm seeing. A little bit of plastic texture, I believe, but I don't know. I've been at this a little while. It's always a pain in the butt to clean out a gas tank, but I'm going to call this one good enough. Of course, there'll be a filter, and I'll have to monitor the filter. You saw the other one filled up last season. I'm sure I'll catch a little bit this season, but it should be less than last season. It's finally time to clean the carbs. So it's the next day. I showed you cleaning out the gas tank. That's all happy. Got my carbs all blown apart. This is all the stuff that goes in. This is the stuff that doesn't. I want to say, I don't trust these Viton tip needles anymore because these hoses on the drains are awfully soft. I do think this sled saw some ethanol somewhere. So, I don't know. It is what it is. Time to dunk this stuff in the dip. There we go. Kid Sonic 6000. I decided to do a little investigation into that white crystal looking stuff. Let's see if I can get it in focus. I'm sure you can see it because I can see it through the viewfinder. It's not in the hose. If I wipe it, let me see if I can wipe it while I'm holding the camera. See, it wipes off. I wiped off the edge of it there. I don't know what that junk is, but I don't want it going through my motor, so I'm glad I cleaned out that fuel tank on the XLT. And I will change every piece of the line that has that in it, as well as clean out the fuel pump. Back working on the XLT. So I pulled out the fuel pump with all the lines intact and the filter. Look at the crap in that filter, but it caught it all. There is nothing in any of the lines, nothing in the pump. Everything's clear. Everything's clean. So I'm going to put that back together. I'll replace the lines with brand new line that's the same length because these got that same junk in them. I don't know if that's coming out in the camera. Whatever it is, I don't want to send it into my motor. All right, I got a bunch of stuff in for the XLT. Let's take a quick look at it. So the first thing is I got my new needles and seats. You get those from a lot of places. Your Polaris dealer should still carry them, I think. Sometimes you can get genuine Mikuni from Dennis Kirk. Wall Brothers Racing will have it for sure. So check out Wall Brothers, and they've actually got good prices on their parts. They've also got a ton of like original equipment Polaris clutch parts, whole clutches, weights, springs, whatever. Even for you old TXL guys with the long crank stub, they have a modern P85 with a deep bore that fits that. So give them a look. All right, enough said. Next, we're moving on to fuel filters. Obviously, the filter that was on there did a good job. No debris got through. But let's talk about that. This is your basic, cheap, $1 swap meet filter. You know, they're just sitting there open in the bins. There's no markings. We've had a lot of trouble with these. I believe both Dennis and Lonnie on their XLTs had debris get past these filters. They're garbage. I think the only reason I keep this thing around is to remind me what it looks like and what the difference is. This is a good quality small filter, Wix 33011. If you got to run a compact filter, these are great. The only drawback to them is they're compact. They don't hold as much debris and sediment. This is my favorite, the Wix 33001. This guy is a big jumbo filter. It's well made. Nothing gets by these. This is what I was running that caught all that sediment. It's a great filter. The only drawback is I've had a hard time finding them lately for some reason. So I was looking for substitutions and I found this CarQuest 86001. Similarly priced filter. And it looks pretty good. It is clearly not made by Wix. The plastic molds are different. The filter media looks different, but it looks like it's good quality. I don't think any debris is going to get past it. Looks like a reasonable substitute for me. And this says it was made in Taiwan. What does this one say? Warning, something. I don't know that I see it prominently marked on the box. So anyways, I don't know. But these are the two I'm recommending. The Big Wicks and the Big CarQuest. You know, something like that's going to serve you real well. So, if you've been watching, you remember my airbox foam got ate by mice. Sons of bitches. Kicking myself for not putting a mouse bucket in that trailer. You can't get the triple foam anymore. That is super unfortunate. What you can get is the twin foam. Here's the part number, 125-3102. This is the same foam as my Classic 500. It's the part number for that Classic 500. So it's pretty different. As you can see, it's shorter. It's got this big air hole here. It's got these cutouts. I'm going to add those cutouts in just for the heck of it, and we'll call it good. I don't think that's really going to make me run a bunch richer or a bunch leaner, but I will keep an eye on spark plugs just like always. Normally, I'd just be more concerned with changes in temperature and humidity as far as mixture. So we'll go with that. And then the top airbox foam, 125-3107, same twin or triple, most wedge hoods, good stuff there. So I think you can get those aftermarket too. I don't know. I guess I don't know if you can get the inside foam. I don't know if you can get these aftermarket. I didn't look. I know you can get that, but I like to use the genuine Polaris when it comes to something that acts like a filter media so that you know that the restriction is right. Now, if you put in something else, just keep an eye on your plugs. You know, make sure you're not going rich, make sure you're not going lean. Usually it'll be more restricted and you'll go rich, so the consequences are small there. Just a little power loss, maybe some fouled plugs. All right, that's enough talking about parts. I'm going to get back to wrenching. All right, got her back together except for the airbox. So we're about to start it. So the first thing I'm doing is flipping the slides. And I actually did this already. And because I can't see them real well, I stuck my fingers in and checked to make sure they're all fully closing. So I always check that. A lot of times, well, not a lot, but occasionally, your slides will get hung up. Maybe you don't have the needle in that center needle jet. I don't know. Things happen. It's a good thing to check so your sled doesn't run away when you start it. All right, so I think we're ready to fire it up. Let me put you up on the tripod here and aim you at the sled. Not quite fast enough. Probably flooded it. That pump is definitely hurt, which sucks because I just looked at it. I guess it's rebuild time. So I took the pump apart and here's what I found. This plate was sitting here just like this. My bad, that is upside down. And it needs to match up here. Those two chambers need to match up down there. Not a shock that it wasn't pumping. I'll get it put together right. It'll be fine. Got that pump back together. See if she pumps right. fixed. Here's these holes in the foam. Yeah, I kind of got a little sloppy with them, but give or take, they match these. Maybe not in quantity, but, you know, it's got this big gaping hole down here. I don't know. I think it works. I think it's got enough open area. We'll give it a shot. All right, folks, I got the Grape Ape all together. I've been running it in the shop a little, but for lack of daylight, I haven't ran it outside yet. I think it's time to fire it up. Maybe do a couple test hits, make sure it's ready for the season. Well, that was a disappointing test run, mega bog, but I got out the thermal camera to make sure I wasn't just down a cylinder, and I'll insert that footage here. So as you can see, all three cylinders appear to have been firing just fine. That's great. For some reason, why am I surprised to find this? It shouldn't be. It means the mice have been living up in this hole up in here, or at least chewing stuff up there. So I'm going to get this air box off. A lot of times a guy can cure a warm weather bog just by pulling the air box without completely rejetting. So I'll give that a try quick. We'll see how it works. One other thing, if you're going to run your XLT with a CDI box mounted on the air box without an air box, at least give it a couple zip ties to keep the box and the wires and everything out of the jack shaft. I know it seems like common sense, but I've seen it happen a lot where people just pull off the air box, pull the cord, and rip around a little bit. All right, so the Grape Ape's got a bog. That'll happen. That'll happen to a lot of different sleds, but XLTs in particular are, pretty well known for that. So what does it mean? Does it mean I'm going to live with it? Heck no. We're going to get that thing back to the performance it was last year at the beginning of the season. It was great then, and we'll figure it out, but that's another episode. Sorry to leave you hanging on that, but I got to move on to other things today. The boys are coming over pretty quick, and we're going to make another video for you that doesn't necessarily involve fixing the XLT bog as far as I'm concerned. So anyways, hang out, keep watching the videos, and we'll get back to this and we'll get it fixed up. I want to say huge thanks to the patrons. Really appreciate your support. You guys are the best. For anybody that doesn't know, Patreon is the place where you can go to support your favorite creators. And for a small monthly donation, you get your name up on the screen like you see going on right now. And you get early access to the videos for this channel. And you get behind the scenes and special patron only videos. And there have been quite a few of them lately. So if you want to find out what those are, well, you're going to have to sign up. As far as everybody else goes, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Really appreciate you guys. And we'll see you on the trails.